Right, good evening everyone. Have I got audio? Yes. Good evening everyone and welcome to the Melbourne ATV net, which is held at 8 p.m. every Tuesday night. It was a great weekend with the annual ATV QSO party. It was rather amazing actually. I'm sure Peter will be able to give us a bit of a rundown on what happened during the weekend on the Saturday, all of Saturday actually. Rather than stealing Peter's thunder, I'll let him tell us all about it, and I'm sure other stations may report as well. You can watch this net through VK3RTV RF, which is the preferred way, or if you can't do that for various reasons, you can watch the net through Ian VK3QL's YouTube feed, Rob VK3IE's BATC feed, and Richard VK3VRS's Discord feed. Now later on today I'm going to just very briefly talk a little bit about the Portsdown transmitter slash a great bit of test equipment. So it will be very, very, very brief. I know a lot of you have got the Portsdown already, but maybe some of the guys that are thinking of coming up on ATV in the near future might be interested in just one of the ways that you can get in on the Portsdown. I'm going to show you how to drive it from a computer using a web browser, which I know a lot of you guys already do. Now first up this evening it'll be across to Peter on VK3RTV1. Peter will be putting it across to Richard, VK3VRS, and then Richard across to Clint, VK3CSJ, and then back to me. So if everyone wants to go across to RTV1 right now, I see Peter's up and ready, so please transfer.
Okay, we made it. Alright, we've got audio running there. Good evening to everyone. I'm Peter, VK3BFG. And first of all, I'd like to turn that off. Apologise to Rob, VK3IE, for squashing his bird. Not quite sure how it happened, but I've squashed myself as well, just to show that I can do it. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened with the rendering there, Rob. But it somehow ended up at 4:3. But it looks okay anyway. So thought we'd put the bird back for a while. We haven't had it for quite some time. Yeah, well, the DATV QSO party was probably the best one we've ever had, and we've had a lot. And just reflecting back, perhaps I could show some video clips next week just to show you the kind of quality we had in the first one compared to what we ended up with just recently. And of course the number of stations that we crossed to in the United States was pretty remarkable, and equally remarkable was the number of stations we were able to access via the Q0 100 satellite, and via Martin Charman, who anchored that extremely well, and it worked very well. And I mean, we had stations from the UK, we had station from Holland, one from Spain I recall, one from Brazil, one from India, and maybe some others I missed, but and Ian 3QL has made a compilation of all of those, and I'll leave it to Ian to maybe put up that compilation if he hasn't already got it prepared, maybe next week. But yes, an extraordinary number of stations, and really the key was, there's two key things there. One is Bill AB0MY in Boulder is a really nice guy and very cooperative, and Roland JP6 JPG in Los Angeles, yeah, another very, very capable and enthusiastic person. And then I stumbled on Martin Jarman, who happened to be responding to my call to the UK, and we had John McCarthy. He was the first one to respond, and then got on to Martin, and then through Martin I got on to Dave Crump. So it was a bit of a gold mine, and yes, by the end of the day I was pretty exhausted. We started the day with a fault on RTV1, would you believe? I couldn't believe it, but yes, we had a fault, and it was an audio fault, and behind the scenes, and I was unaware of what was going on, but I was aware that something was going on. But Richard, VK3 VRS, and Ian 3QL obviously liaised together and worked out some way of getting video across to Ian, and then Ian then processed it through to RTV. So that was really great work for those guys, and under a fair amount of pressure, because time constraints there, and the event was in progress. So yeah, that was well done, and it was great to see Simon VK3ZSJ coming back up, and I've now seen him finally with high definition DVB-T, which is really great, Simon, and that's fantastic. So look, it was a great event, and one of the key players was Ian VK3QL, because his YouTube stream was the source for RTV video all around the world, and without that we would have not been very good, because our streamers don't display the SRT stations. So Ian, that was a fabulous effort. You had to keep sixpences in the machine to keep it running, I'm quite sure. Anyway, look, I'll give you a quick look at something that's in progress, and we're trying to get a spare transmitter for RTV, and unfortunately the pallet that we got from Roger didn't last very long. It showed about 6 dB of gain for a little while, and then there was a little weeny spark, and that was the end of it. So yeah, I mean, these things happen with those sorts of things, and with others. Anyway, I've contacted Jim Klitzing, W6PQL, and he's going to rummage. He was away on holidays, but he's going to rummage through and see if he can find a FET replacement for the unit that we've got here. So I've reconstructed it, and it's in a new arrangement with the Mitsubishi module in the same heatsink, and I'll show you it. It's sort of a work in progress. If we can get that down there to where it is, there it is there. The unit that I got this from was actually a transceiver that was with Amateur Radio Victoria. You can see that's all heatsink there. It's huge, so it's pretty good. And I've mounted the Mitsubishi module down the bottom here, in a separate die-cast box, and it's sitting on the heatsink also. And then we're coming up to the W6PQL module here, and I can get that dead fed off fairly easily, and hopefully Jim may have a replacement for it. The actual unit is in pretty good shape. There's nothing really wrong with it other than the FET's gone. So hopefully that will be a standby transmitter that we'll have available should the existing one fail. And the last one, of course, lasted quite a few years, maybe five years. And we battered it a bit at the end, so yes, it wasn't too good. All right then, that's all I've got for tonight. So Richard, VK3VRS, if you start rolling your transmitter, I'll just put up my call sign.
Sorry, I was listening to my own music on the TV. Wow, what a weekend. The Cuso party was, pretty mind-blowing. Big thank you to Peter. I know exactly how much work it takes to organise an event. And yours was outstanding because it also included international people. So you had time zones to consider as well. Which is a problematic in itself. So well done. And Ian and Neil in the background. It's fantastic. Couldn't have happened without you guys as well. So my little part in getting RTV1 people on with Ian. It was very minor, but thank you for the acknowledgement. It was great to actually have the satellite and Europe attending. There was already talk and rumblings that they were looking forward to next year's one. So that's fantastic. I've got a full recording of both sessions as well, so I've recorded it from what I received on obviously my repeater. So got it back up there for forever and a day. So that's fantastic. Tonight's theme is as you can see behind me, this side, the Portsdown. Now that's mine, live transmitting. So if I you can probably see if I hover my mouse around there. It's web-based, so Neil will go through that a little bit. You might also notice that I've got some QR codes on the screen. This one's got the little Discord symbol, so if you hover your phone's camera over that, that'll take you to your Discord, to the Discord link, which you can join. And I see Steve VK3NF is on there. And the one on the other side here, this one, that's going to Facebook, because I did start a Facebook group a long time ago, but I haven't really sort of pushed it or anything. But I figure if we're going to go international, then we've got a Facebook group that we can all contribute to, and maybe use that for communication as well. So we've got those options right there. What I will do tonight is I'll show my little transmitter. As most of you know, and if you don't know, I've got a very clear view to Mount View. There's literally nothing but maybe a tree or two in the way, which don't really affect my signal that much unless they're really, really wet. And then I have to go up from 50 milliwatts to 200 milliwatts. You can see at the moment my current line gain is 79. Now it's just a percentage up to 99 of how much you're driving the line. Now I know in earlier times when I was first playing around and getting it to work, I did go to Peter's and we actually put the line directly on the signal analyzer to have a look at Bart's head, and just purely without driving it to its max, it had a very nice clean signal. So unless you're pushing it really hard and you've got lots of amplification, then you get away without any filtering. It's quite clean. So in saying that, I'll just run my little video of the transmitter that's sitting over there that's currently transmitting. So just hold fire and I'll take them off for now and I'll run the video. Okay, so just for everyone, this is my ATV transmitter. So it's the ports down. So this is the actual transmitter part with ports down. So as you can see, I've just got it in a case. This case was from J-Car, so you'll see that I've got RX and TX, 12 volt in, and it's a USB. So yeah, because this is made for television, I've magically removed the screws, and that's what we've got on the inside. So you can see there, it's just a simple little two-way adapter, a USB 3 adapter, straight into the line, and then the line. Oh look, I've upgraded. So I used to have this in there, but thanks to Nick, BK3BA, he's actually given me some hardline, so I've put the hardlining on the transmit. So that's what we've got in there now. So you can see there, it's very simple. Comes out of the line, out of the transmit, into the little mini circuits amp. So if anyone was interested, spin that around. And there's the model number of the mini circuits that I'm using. I've used that instead of the PHA1 because I get just a tiny little bit more power and I don't have to drive the line as hard. And for me, I don't need a lot of power to get in, I'm fortunate in my position. I've also got plans, which one day I'll actually get around to. You can see here, I've got some leads off here, and they actually go into the line to actually extend the flashing lights to tell you whether you're transmitting or not. And it's just a simple power switch and an LED to tell me whether I'm TXing or not, which I haven't actually finished connecting it. That's a simple. I think I've still got a link for the USB if anybody's interested, and you can probably see that's just glued in. And it seems like it's floating, but I've been a little bit sneaky, and you can see the screw that holds the foot in is actually holding up the actual adapter, and there's nothing under the actual line. It's basically just the connection to the amp that's holding it up at this end. No problems at all. I've been asked about heat dissipation. Well, generally I don't drive the line any higher than about 85-90%, and I have no heat problems. I've transmitted for well over an hour and it doesn't get any excessively hot at all. No problems at all there. So if you are a little bit concerned, you could probably put just a fan blowing across it. You could mount a fan maybe, and you can see there's holes in the case, so you could blow air across, and that would give you probably sufficient cooling. So that's my ATV transmitter, and of course that plugs into the Raspberry Pi and runs the ports down software. Hopefully that was interesting.
live news on the planets, cosmology, sunspots and more. Every Friday at 10 p.m. Clint VK3 CSJ presents the Astronomical Society of Victoria broadcast on this amateur television repeater, VK3 RTV Channel 1.
Oh, look, and here we are. Just a okay, forgot to turn audio on. There we go.
Audio.
I fixed it already. I'm right onto it. Now, one other thing that most people know, I'm into the microwave scene as well. And the other day, Mark and I, Mark JMA that is, and we started building. Now it's going to look a little bit funny because of the green screen, but that's our horn antenna with waveguide transition, ready to mount on a pole. No prizes for guessing what band that's for. It's definitely not 160 megs, so yeah, so that's something that we sort of the Mark had already built one for him, and he tested it with Rob IE. So if you know that sort of distance that it covered from Hampton Park to way over in Whoop Whoop in the west, that's pretty good for that, and that's just another version that we built for me to play with. So we built that the other week. So that was very good, and I'm looking forward to actually getting some time to mount that up and have a play. All right, that's it for me, I suppose. So I will go to the good old-fashioned test pattern, Clint, and then once you see the test pattern, you can go and stomp me with your big, fat, heavy signal that you have with my tiny little signal. So thanks everyone, and see you next week.
Right. And that's the current view from QO100. Just joking. All right. Gee, that looks strangely underlit. Anyway. Good evening, everyone. I don't have much to input other than to thank all the team that put the QSO party together on Saturday. Peter and Ian and Neil, and of course it wouldn't have been all that good without all the folks that participated. And I think overall it was a good 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 perhaps. It's a pity RTV had the issue, but Ian and Richard managed to save the day with the SRTing. I now know more about the SRTing side of things. All I've ever heard was SRT this and SRT that. Never really quite got that until Saturday. So it worked very, very well, and I again thanks Ian for supplying that facility. It's it worked very well, so fantastic stuff indeed. But I think I'm still in awe of the quality and standard of visions coming in from all the stations that popped in on the QO100 satellite. It's a pity at first we didn't have a link to looking at the downlink from QO100. I remember mentioning that at some stage earlier in the week, that it'd be nice. In fact, I think it was last Tuesday, that it'd be nice to be able to see what was actually coming off the satellite, because I wasn't really sure until that that the VK had gone through the satellite, but Ian provided a BATC link, and that's still functional as far as I know. So if you want to see what was actually coming off the satellite, there is a link available for that, and I sat and watched most of that the other day and was quite taken in again by the quality and standard. So you know, it's absolutely top marks to everybody, and particularly the stateside stations. You know, over 22 stations, maybe close to 29, I think, when Ian did his count, something like that. But all of us still had the old problem of overlapping audio from all quarters. Was it Roland? One of them. I can't remember who it was. It wasn't. No, I don't think it was. Might have been Roland, but one of the other anchors had the old. I'm just trying to think who it was. The old issue of the repeating audio getting louder and louder and louder. And Martin in the UK had the same problems. He just had the, and of course Mick VK3CH, when his first presentation came across, it was the same thing. And I thought, it's just, how do we fix that? When there's so many audio issues, it's just amazing. But otherwise, it was just spot on. All the audio levels from the folks in the States were just all good. And I really did like that everybody had their call sign and name up on the screen this time, and even the folks through the QO100 as well. So we all were identifiable. So yes, next year should be a real ripper, and it'd be so cool if we can get ZL. I don't know how big the ATV groups are in ZL, exactly what they're doing. They're very hush-hush about their business over there. But even if it's just one ZL station that could SRT into the system, you know, that'd be great to see ZL up there. So I've got to get those guys interested. And hopefully this recent QSO party, they'll see the success that was, particularly with the satellite, and they think, oh, that's cool, we should, yeah, maybe. But it'd be really fantastic if we can get our own satellite, and don't know if that'll ever happen. I contacted Mike, I forget his call sign right now, but the fellow that who talked about the Radio Path program. It's his own program. He wrote it, and I thought it would be interesting to see if I can find out if it's downloadable. It's been around. He's written it almost 10 years ago. Yeah. Anyway, he's responded and given me a few links to be able to work out this program. But it's, you know, on the back of what Peter VK3TLF had done, I was following up on that program that Mike had done. So he's responded in kind. So we're looking at Steve VK3NF's path to the repeater. So it was quite interesting to see. I was going to throw up some flight aeronautical footage many years ago. I think it was back in 2013, 10 years ago almost. It's like, well, over 10. I took a flight with a friend of mine to Bendigo. It was a luncheon that was going on, and we had a flight in this Texan 650, I think is the number. Anyway, I took a little bit of footage from the mobile phone, but do you know, I could not find it. I was telling Richard I'll see if I can quickly edit this together so I could show it tonight, but it's like everything in this place. I go looking for something and I can't find it, but something that I was looking for months ago, I find it. And it's exactly the same thing for everything, and it is so frustrating. I just, you know, the older you get, this frustration business just gets out of control. Anyway, so on that note, I don't think there's anything else to cover. I'll try and find it, and I'll put it up next week together with part 2, I guess, from Richard if he gets time to fix that up. But apart from all that, it was a fantastic weekend, and I actually had someone's 60th birthday party to go to. It was actually a surprise party, and this fellow didn't know. But I've caught up with all that now. But I'm in favour of going to a friend of mine, 60th birthday party, a surprise party. I like I said, I already committed myself to show up here on the QSO party, so that was where I was going to be. Anyway, he understood, since he's a ham himself. Anyway, so that's it. All right, enough waffle. Looking forward to next year's session. Should be good if we can get a ZL in. Anyway, so on that note, back to you there, Neil. VK3BCU on RTV2. This is VK3CSJ, and thanks, guys. It was a fantastic weekend. Good on you, everybody.
Thanks for that, Clint. Audio, yes. Right, thanks for that. And yeah, I agree. It'd be great to see what's going to happen next year for the ATV party last weekend of August every year. Now, I said I was going to talk about the Portsdown. Richard went through the hardware side of it. I'm really going to just go through what I just discovered recently, and that you can drive it using a web browser. So this is the Portsdown. So basically, this is one of the other ways you can do it. Richard did it one way. This is my spear. I don't normally use this. And that's the Lime SDR inside there, a little tiny fan. Just in a little case I found, which fits perfectly. This is a Chinese, one of those Chinese amps that a few of us have been buying, just in its little case there. And then there's the Portsdown. And I'm using my wirelessly controlled camera, which I'll take across to the other one, which I'm going to be using later on for my little demonstration. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to switch back to, I'll put that down there, and I'll go back to the control centre, and we'll talk about the Portsdown. Right, if I get the right buttons. Okay. So in order to drive a Portsdown using a web browser, first thing you have to do is find the IP address for the Portsdown. Now there's a number of ways you can do this. I'm using IP scanner, and I found the IP address. If I can get my mouse to work, there it is down there, 192.168.1.128. You can pick it up off the actual Portsdown off the menu system as well. So once I've got that address, I plugged it into my browser and put it in the favourites area, and also made a shortcut. There's the shortcut there. And I'm going to bring up the Portsdown now. With a bit of luck, it'll work. And that's the Portsdown that I showed you with the shaky cam. Now, this is more than just a transmitter. This is a bit of test gear as well. It does a lot of stuff, which I'm not going to go into now because it's just, we'll be here all night. But one of the things I did do is, I can show you, is my actual signal. And please, oh, here we go. Please don't comment on the quality of the signal. I am pushing the amplifier a little bit hard tonight, but that's my Bart's head, which is the actual transmission that you're seeing me on right now. That's using the SR systems into a Mitsubishi module, but I am pushing the module hard tonight because I was having difficulty getting into the repeater. As you can see, the skirts are a little bit not so flash, but I'm sure Peter will have a lot of comments to say about that. He'll say not good, but that's the way it is. Okay then, enough of that. Back to me, I believe. And now we're going to put it across to Joe, 3TET. So if you're ready, Joe, there's going to be a bit of a gap between myself and Joe because Joe's coming up on T2 and I'm on S at the moment. So Joe, if you want to take it, you put it across to Ian, then Ian across to John 3ATV, and then John, if you could put it straight back to me. So Ian, take it away on RTV2.
Good evening and welcome to my segment. I thought that today we should have a little bit of a show and tell, as Neil suggested. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you some of the AliExpress bits that I got. Here you see a Tiny SA Ultra, which is essentially being used as a signal generator. It's got that capability. You can actually dial up a frequency and the actual output level, and it'll hopefully produce a relatively accurate signal. So what I've done here, I've got a little power meter that I got on Ali. It's around about $55 delivered. It's quite accurate, surprisingly. So what I've got here, I've got a 10 megahertz signal source set at about 18 decibels. And the meter is showing it pretty accurate. And what I'm doing now is dialing in 1287 just to see how well it actually responds at higher frequencies. The thing is that you don't really know if it's the signal generator or the meter. There's about a half a dBm difference, which is relatively small considering the frequencies and the power levels that we're using. So I'm quite impressed with that. Unfortunately, the buttons on the device are quite, well, I would say not very reliable. There's probably quite a lot of signal bounce. You know, you sort of click it and it goes to 2 instead of 1. But that's still manageable. It's obviously a little bit of software problems that they've got there with the debounce, but nevertheless it's functional. So what I'm doing, I'm dialing in here 1287 and then hitting OK, and that will actually set the frequency. See, these little analog device power meter monolithic devices, that's what they're called. They are frequency dependent, obviously, and you know, if you've set the specific frequency there, there's more accuracy. So what I've got here, I've got 18.5 dB or 28.5 at the moment, and it's showing me 27.7, something like that, 28 almost. So we're talking about 0.6, 0.7 of a dBm, which is pretty good. It probably varies quite a lot. Again, I can't really tell whether there's a loss in the cable, whether the meter is not very accurate, or whether the signal generator. But nevertheless, it gives you a good bit of feedback there. If you're just looking for some sort of a power meter for $50, it's very good. Obviously, you need an attenuator. It's quite low level for the measurements, but you know, once you've got that sorted out, it should be quite good. Here I've got about 38.5 dBm, and it's showing me 39, so we're talking about half a dBm. Again, very, very good considering. So one very useful device. I hope you enjoyed that one. Now, what have we got? We've got another device. I haven't even bothered taking it out of its plastic bag or anti-static bag. This is essentially a non-active mixer. It's a pretty simple device, a couple of bucks, very useful if you want to mix some signals together. Highly recommended. Again, nothing special, but another little thing for your toolbox. Now, you may have seen some videos on power dividers, the Wilkinson power dividers. Well, I've got another type here. This is essentially using the same principle, and it works exactly the same way. But this particular design, it's got quite a lot of quarter wave sections. I haven't really looked into this, but I suppose the theory behind this one is that it is presumably more linear because you've got different sort of stubs for presumably different frequencies, so it'll be pretty linear from about 0.5 to 4 gigahertz, as they say. Again, I haven't tested it, but it looks quite interesting. So yeah, just another variant of the same thing, the Wilkinson power divider, an indispensable little gadget for your bag of tricks. So highly recommend that you get a couple of those for that price. You can afford it. Now there's another device, nothing special, but I thought it would be quite useful. This is essentially an RS-232 to Ethernet converter. Sometimes you want to control some devices that are not very intelligent. In other words, they've got TTL or RS-232 levels, but you want to control them remotely via the internet. Well, this is it. This is the device. Essentially, you've got the sort of voltage levels, and it'll actually turn it into an IP stream that you can actually connect to. I actually use that to control an SPE linear amplifier for remote. Essentially, you can dial into it via a computer with a RS-232 port, but this was enabling me to control it via the internet. Very, very useful device, and again, highly recommend it. Anyway, that's all, folks, for this particular session. I hope you enjoyed it, and take care.
Good evening and welcome to television.
Good evening. Thanks, Joe. I always enjoy your segments. There's lots of interesting toys, or not toys, devices that you are finding and assessing and doing all the hard work in vetting what's not really worth messing around and what are very inexpensive gems. So thanks for that. Yes, this is the 201st net, so we're chalking them up there. Yeah, just the stats. I haven't got a slide on the stats for the QSO party. As been mentioned, there's Saro and Ed and Gary and Leon in particular in order India, Brazil and South Africa. So it was great I think that's a first for the QSO party, at least as far as I'm aware, and lots of UK stations, and Beno, of course, and Michael from Spain. So no, excellent. In terms of total, according to my total, and I only counted the stations, and of course many stations came back for both sessions, and in fact the Americans were very keen to come back for the evening sessions, even though it's something like 3 o'clock in the morning for them, but they still came back for the second session, so that was great. So the number of stations, segments that came up was quite substantial. In fact, if you look at my YouTube channel, I've got the full recording, and I've got a listing of in order of each of the stations as far as I could ascertain quickly. The part 1, which was the morning session, 10 till 3 in the 10 a.m. until 3 o'clock our time, that has actually got time placement section, so you can actually jump around and look at segments at will. The part 2, I haven't quite finished the time place marks in the description, but there's certainly a list of the stations in the order that they transmitted, so people can reasonably easily, without the place marks, find their place by looking at the description in the YouTube recordings. So the totals this year, we had 56 individual stations, and from 14 in UK, in VK, 29 USA, UK was 7, EU 2, South Africa 2, Brazil 1, and India 1. So that's a total of 56 according to my arithmetic, which is pretty dodgy at the best of times. Last year we had 32, so we're nearly doubling our participation in terms of number of stations, but certainly in the number of sessions too. I'm sure we're really piling it on. I'd like to thank the stations who kept the ball rolling. And what I thought I'd do, rather than sort of, I got somewhat distracted on the day because there's a few things to address, and thanks for the team that really pulled it together, and Peter in particular. I don't think people realise that there was hours and hours of testing that Peter conducted offline, as it were, both with the back channel and with SRT, and making sure people could see YouTube and Zoom and all of that. So there was hours and hours of testing that occurred this year, and he really and not to mention the correspondence and toing and froing and lining up the testing sessions. So well done, Peter. You really pulled this one off with great success. All right, so but let's listen to Colin. Colin, who we've seen before. I always forget his call sign. Let's see, I've got it here somewhere. Colin G4KLB. He wasn't able, due to work commitments, to see the QSO party or participate. He was able to see it though. Despite work commitments, he was able to duck and weave, and very enthusiastic. And here are some of his off-the-cuff comments that he ran through last Sunday during his net. I've just sort of, he really was very enthusiastic, and the whole segment went for something like 25 minutes. But so I've just done a few clips, and 3 minutes of clips, just to give you a flavour of the sort of reaction that people had to the QSO party. So here's Colin.
But so hopefully next year's will be even bigger. It takes some managing, I should imagine. But overall, from what I saw, and it's all recorded, so you can watch the entirety again. It went off very, very well indeed. Very well indeed. I didn't really see any problems that were worth noting. Most of it was pretty slick, really, because you have to allow for a bit of delay and such like, and that can be tricky. But most of us. Right, what was quite, I guess, quite obvious, really, but I hadn't thought about it, is how ATVers around the world are pretty much all the same. All doing similar things. I was quite fascinated to see a lot of them mention the Digilight and the influence that had and such like. That was very pleasing. I had a very small part to play in that. But ATVers are the best, aren't they? ATVers are all a real friendly bunch. More so than any other branch of radio, in my opinion. I don't know why, but that has been my experience. Fantastic. It's the sort of whole world of ATV coming together, and I was very impressed, I have to say. Very impressed, and a lot of people that you don't normally see. Obviously, the Cure 100 people, I see them all. Brazil in there. We had a little bit more detail from a lot of stations. They all gave a bit of a story about themselves and their shacks and equipment and such like, which was very interesting to see. I thought so. There's a couple of places I'm thinking, crook, I wouldn't mind living there. Particularly the one with kangaroos bounding around the garden. Kangaroos bounding around the garden, and the birds and everything. God, that's well worth a look. I tell you, I'll have a look at that, because that is. I thought, crook, I would be very happy there. I wouldn't. I'd be very happy there. Oh dear. But a lot of them gave a bit of a, how long they've been doing radio and how long, and a bit of background, which was fascinating. Again, I didn't catch it all, so I shall probably, I will watch it again, particularly when I can actually pay a bit more attention, because obviously I was meant to be working, so I'm more or less on call at weekends. Well, I am on call at weekends. I have certain things I have to do, but obviously nearly everyone gave a little bit more insight than we normally see, and that was really interesting. Really interesting.
Yes, a very enthusiastic Colin who was very touched by the QSO party, and I think that was reflected in the reaction of many of the operators and amateurs that participated in the party. So no, I thought that was worth putting together. I am now into my coming up to 10 minutes segment, so I might now pass it to Shepparton. All right, yes, so Shepparton is on next Sunday, and 5 sleeps to go, and same venue as last year, same time, 10 a.m. to 1. So I think there's still some tables, or at least there was a few days ago, so I don't know when the cut-off date is, but that's a possibility if you want to sell stuff. But also there's always, I'm sure, bargains galore. What happens now? Let's see. the red dot comes up. All right, and I'm in my spaceship. I did mention that tonight. I thought I'd go up and visit the QO100 satellite to make sure that it survived the party and there was no one leaving glasses of beverages or anything around to spoil the satellite. All right. What I'll do is go for a quiz, and then I'll come back and I'll pass it on to John, VK3 ATV. Right, so I hope you got them right. So PEP measurement, use of spectrum analyzers, and quad antenna design. Oh, it's getting heavy. Not really, I hope. So there's about 20 concurrent users. People have been dropping in and out, so that's all good. That's all relevant. And so I'll pass it on. I'll let Lucy say good night for the station and run the list of stations that access RTV, and then on the K end of transmission I'll drop carrier and John, VK3 ATV, can take over. Good evening, everyone. John, VK3 ATV in Williamstown. I'm not going to talk about the QSO party. Well, I just did, but
I think there's been enough said there. Great event again. I've been a little busy with ATV. I had quite a few problems with my strong set-top box during the QSO party, and I've been having problems ever since. So tends to need a reset fairly regularly now. So it might be time to upgrade to something else. So I'd be interested to see who's having good success with their set-top boxes, and if you could let me know, send me an email, or get me on the liaison frequency, and let me know what type you're using. So it's probably time I replace the strong unit. Okay, the other thing I've done is I have purchased a mini kits kit, 70 centimetre preamp with transmit changeover, and realised that I didn't have the tools here, adequate tools to do the SMD work. I've been struggling with a 30-year-old soldering station and 60-year-old eyes. So I thought I would get a magnifying a microscope, digital microscope, and a new desoldering station. So I'll give you a look at the digital microscope. I know there's a few people have had one for quite a while, but I thought I'd just quickly run through what I've got. So just to give you an idea of the issues, that's the preamp. Not the right light, but that's the preamp board with quite a few small pads in it, and there's some 0805 size SMD components that have to go on, so they're quite small. So I'll just adjust the camera here. So that's the unit. That's the unit there, and it comes with a remote and built-in 7-inch display and some lamps, which is quite handy. So those 805 components, which are those capacitors, 100 picofarad capacitors along that row there. We put that under the microscope. And that's only a fraction of the magnifying that you can do. So it's got a 10-minute cutout, which I haven't adjusted yet. But you can clearly see the solder pads on the end of that SMD device, which would make it a lot easier to make sure that you're getting a good solder joint on that component. When you look at the board and the pads on the board, you can clearly see the board and make sure that you're covering it adequately with solder. So I think that'll be quite handy building the SMD devices, the SMD board, and there's quite a few on that PCB. The other thing I've had for a while that I haven't really had a chance to put together is a microscope, another microscope camera, a USB device, and I'll be playing with that and see if I can put that as a direct input into vMix. I'll just have to work out the actual configuration or settings, I think, of it, and that's just a standard mount. So I'll probably mount that on a stand and do a comparison with the with this device. This device got metal. I wanted to make sure I had a metal plate and metal on the back. So this is all metal gearing, and it's got a little remote as well. So, and I think getting something with the lights makes a big difference. If you ran without the lights, if I can find the power for those, it's not quite as good. You can still see, but it's got lights around the camera. But I think the external lamps make a difference. So let's next week I'll give you a look at the new desoldering station, and once I've had a play with it. I've only unpacked it. I haven't really had a chance to use it yet, so I will have a play with that one and give you a look at what the new setup is, and hopefully it'll make surface mount device assembly a lot easier. That's it from me tonight. So I'm pretty sure I'm handing back to Neil. So I'll let you take it away, Neil. I'll put my thanks for watching on, and then shut off. So good night, everyone. Thanks for watching, and thanks everyone for watching on Saturday as well. We had quite a lot of viewers, which was great. So 73s from John, VK3 ATV in Williamstown.
Right, thanks for that, John. Just make sure I got audio. I'll be very interested to see how that preamp goes, John. I've not had much luck with preamps for various reasons, so it'll be very interesting to see how that goes. And I should break out my microscope too. I've got one exactly the same as yours, which I've never really used, but I haven't been doing too much SMD lately. I'd like to acknowledge that we did have a few check-ins earlier on today for people watching Bob 3 BVR, Rob 3 I is watching, Mark 3 PI, and Tony I know with 7AX is watching, and Nick 3 3BA, and Fred 3 ZAQ also watching. G'day there, Fred. So thank you everyone for watching. Please watch next week, as some of the stations are going to be giving a bit of a rundown on what happened last weekend, and I'm sure you'll find it very interesting. So good night for now, and we'll see you all next week. Cheers.